Hey everybody, it's been a long time. This is SEL0320, and I'm back for a brand new movie review. It's been a while, y'all. I haven't made any reviews since, well, not any seriously, since Smallville went out there. I've made some videos here and there. Y'all seen some of my dance videos. I've seen some of my movie trailer videos, but I haven't done a movie review in a while. So this time around, my review is going to be on The Amazing Spider-Man, which I had the luxury of seeing in the midnight premiere tonight. And I'm not even going to spoil how I feel about it. I'm just going to talk about it. I'm going to three different points. Going the acting level, go on the mythology, and then I'm going to go on the actual reboot or the interpretation of how they made it. Um, Off the bat, as far as the cast is concerned, it was very well rounded. I really enjoyed like each character. Um, Definitely, Andrew Garfield played a really good role as Peter Parker. He was. It's a different kind of interpretation though. Like this Peter Parker dealt with a lot of different various realistic kind of issues of being an orphan and what that actually does to the human psyche, what that really does to molding him into the person he's supposed to be. But at the same time, he has great like surrogate family. Like he's got his uncle, of course. We all know what happens with that situation, and of course we've got Aunt May, and they teach him a lot of really good life lessons. And he's well rounded, but at the same time, he also deals with the fact of loss. So in this interpretation, instead of like with Sam Raimi's, he goes off and tries to figure out what happened to his parents, and that brings the whole movie centerfold completely. What a big factor is also is another thing I think about is Gwen Stacy character. So of course in Spider-Man 3 with Sam Raimi's, probably the least favorite out of everybody's. But Gwen Stacy was played by Bryce. Of course, she did a decent job, but her character couldn't be fully developed because the story arc was built upon Harry, Peter, and Mary Jane in the third movie. And this time around, like Gwen Stacy is in her own. Like she's in her own element. She keeps on this really good, bubbly kind of feel, but at the same time very intelligent. So the attraction level is there, personality is there, and then just, intellect. She's good, and so chemistry between Bryce, I'm sorry, I'm not Bryce, but Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield is really well made. Like they're believable as far as the interaction as a couple. Everybody else, as far as the cast is concerned, from Uncle Ben character to Aunt May character to uh, Dr. Connors to Mr. Stacy or um, Chief Stacy, whatever you want to call him. Everybody did a really good role. Dennis Leary brought a whole other element to Gwen's dad that made him almost like a father figure to Peter. At the same time, he's trying to capture Spider-Man and apprehend him. As far as the Lizard character, which we've all been waiting for, as far as like when Sam Raimi introduced like Kurt Connors and everybody was like, okay, cool, they're gonna bring the Lizard. They never did. Well, finally, we actually have it this time around, and the actor is he did a really good role with it. I mean, he played both roles of the villain at the same time, like the tortured kind of person that really is meaning well, but definitely's got two kind of situations going on. And I'm not gonna spoil anything. Nothing in this view is gonna be a spoiler. All right, so definitely as far as the acting's concerned, I would give that out of 5 stars. I would give that at least a 4, most definitely. Um, yeah, I just loved it. As far as the mythology is concerned, this is how I felt about that. So way back when Sam Raimi did his interpretation of Spider-Man, everybody thought that that was the finite way of how Spider-Man would be made. There was a lot of subtle details that he changed with the mythology, which everybody thinks now is the real mythology. It's not true. I could take a small detail like Spider-Man in the comic books. Like he designed his web shooters. It wasn't like built into his actual body. It wasn't a mutation. Um, That's just one. I mean, I could go on and on with that, but the whole key thing about this one, they kept to the mythology pretty well. Um, Even they brought in the parents, which I can't say that they did it perfect or not, because not because they didn't do anything like bad, but because I really don't know. They left it very open as to what's really going on with Peter's parents and why and how everything turns centerfold. As far as the mythology, as far as like Lizard, Gwen Stacy, Gwen's dad, Uncle Ben, everything was on target. The key thing that they really, like I said, they brought to this table the real personality behind Peter and what he really internally struggles with, but at the same time, the responsibility that's built from that struggle. And it's really well done. Definitely when I think about Spider-Man, of course, yeah. When I think about Spider-Man, his difficulty with duality of what do I do? Like I know that I can't look away again if somebody just gets hurt, but at the same time, like I need to know myself. I need to find myself. I'm not even all together. And the merging of these two things is shown in a really perfect way. Of course, with tragedy, of course, with happiness, of course, with just truth and lies being brought to the forefront. But it was really well done. I really like the way they tied in the mythology with it. Now, I'm really curious to see with the sequel if they're gonna get the mythology correct with Peter's parents. Because if you want to know, I'm not gonna tell you here because I don't want to be a spoiler. But essentially, if you really want to know, um, definitely go read some of the comics about Peter's parents and their involvement in a special organization. But I'm not gonna get into all that. So definitely, as far as the mythology is concerned, with the exception of the parents, I would definitely give that a 4 out of 5. They kept everything on target. I mean, even to the standpoint of how Peter was. He was this kind of geeky, not altogether kind of introvert. But then when he's Spider-Man, he's this whole other person that's wisecracking and bold and selfless. But he comes into his own while being Spider-Man and at the same time being Peter. So they really tied that a lot better, I think, than they did with the Sam Raimi films. And then, of course, the last thing I'm gonna say, this is the reboot in its entirety. Now, when I first thought about like the first Spider-Man, back when Sam Raimi came out 2002 and gave us the first trailer of a helicopter just traveling down or something like that, and the webs is catching it on the trade towers. Like I was like, wow, Spider-Man's coming. And then of course the tragedy of 9/11, which that was a really hard time for our country. But in the middle of that, people needed something to shake them on empathy, and so we turned to movies, we turned to entertainment, and the movie that was big around that time period, 2 years, like I mean, it was definitely Spider-Man 1. Like everybody can never forget, like the first time they saw Spider-Man, um, the geeky kid that had all these kind of weird kind of things happen to him. It's so cliche, so cheesy. Um, but it was amazing. Like I saw it at least 4 times, and I was a little kid then. And then of course after that you got Spider-Man 2 is one of the best by far superhero movies aside from The Dark Knight. I mean, it was one of the best. I mean, and then even with the third one, come what may with that, um, I'm not even gonna necessarily call that a downer either because the problem was they tried to fit too many characters all at once. I mean, the Sandman and the Harry arc would have been just fine, but that's beside the point. So now we come to 2012, which is a decade later from the very first time. How does this one really measure up? So me personally, this is just my personal opinion. I feel like this one is a really great recreation of the actual character and then of the comic book version of Spider-Man, not the movie version. If you go off of how the movie version was made, like nothing can be recreated from that standpoint. Like it just really can't. That was just a magical moment and it worked for that time period. and it escalated into a really great sequel, and it just kind of fizzled out. But you're never gonna forget anything like that. This is in and of itself is a whole nother thing. Um, but it's just the beginning. So it's not like I can say, well, this is on par with the Avengers or the Dark Knight or even Spider-Man 2. Definitely not. But the way that they work the characters, and the way they put the heart and soul of a realistic personal feeling with a superhero, um, it's a really good start. And I think personally, I could see this movie with different other villains later on down the line with these same characters being amazing. Like the CG in and of itself was amazing, character art was amazing. The characters, when they played their roles, they played them almost to perfection. The only downside that I saw was that, I mean, not that anything bad, but it's basically that I wanted more answers, and nothing got kind of answered as far as what's going on with Peter's parents. And that was the epicenter of a lot of the story arc. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that's opened up. As far as the villains are concerned, there's not any really lead into who's going to be the next villain or anything like that. So that's why I said that it's a really good start. But it's not, I don't think this movie was made and geared to just start another sequel. I think it was like a attempt at them trying to recreate something magical. But what they did, they recreated something magical, but they pulled it from the comic book and they put it onto the screen. They didn't take from an other movie and put it right back out there. So I really give them kudos for that. So I definitely give that, in my opinion, as a reboot, and them actually making a reboot, not like trying to copy Sam Raimi's, but trying to make it off the story and the character of Spider-Man and his entire universe. I give that person a 5 out of 5. And so for me, the Amazing Spider-Man, I personally give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, y'all. I mean, I just this is me personally. I see behind a lot of other reviewers that say, I've seen people say it's amazing, the visuals are awesome, it's really cool. And then I've seen a lot of the older generation say, well, this is not what Sam Raimi did, this is not the best it could be, or it was really dull, or that something didn't get explained here or there. I mean, that's the whole magic of an actual story arc. Like, it's not, movies nowadays, they're made to lead into something new. But nothing is ever just created just to see what can really come from this universe. And there's no villains that are leading from this. There's no real explanation of certain things. It's just you're just taking for a ride. And I think the only thing that draws you to wanting to see a new one is how they performed in this actual movie. And that's the thing that wants me to see a sequel, and that's the thing that wants me to see where they go from here. And I mean, if you want to go on the action is concerned, by far this is really one of the better action ones that they've done. Like out of all the action films that they've done as far as the Spider-Man mythology, this is one of the best action is concerned. It's very gritty and it's very violent. Be very mindful if you're bringing kids with you, that they maybe not want to go until you screened it first, so you can bring them back in afterwards. But all in all, y'all, I really enjoyed the film. I hope y'all go and check it out. Definitely let me know what y'all feel about it. What you don't like about it, what you do like about it. But I promise y'all, I'm gonna be making some more movie reviews, and I think I'm gonna go back and make one for the Avengers. Definitely look for me making one for the Dark Knight Rises. Shout out to, like I said, one of my oldest friends up here as far as the channel is concerned, CK61938. I'm looking for him as far as the new Spider-Man review and his Dark Knight Rises review, because I know he does an amazing job. But look for me, y'all. I'm coming back, and I'm going to be making more reviews for y'all. Alright, like I said, this is my Spider-Man review, and I give it an 8 out of 10. Y'all have a good night.